Good Wednesday morning to you. Did some thinking last night, got some ideas, but also got a pile of gravel. I've built the new sifter and I managed to do that. I've got, let's see, this bin of gravel has been reduced significantly, and this over here is now kind of the new paradigm. This is the larger gravel which is filling up, and this is the smaller gravel. This is the sifted gravel, much like what's in that pile there. And then the others I looked up, and there are potentially, I can either get caps to go between the top layer here and the pavers on the top. I need to get to a point where this is excavated out so I can figure out if I need 2 or 4 or 6 inches. If I need 6 inches, I might as well go to 8, which is the size of another block. So just a bunch of stuff to do to figure out what size blocks I need. So here we go. That was just under an hour of work. I had to make a few little changes along the way, as seems to be the pattern here. But I mean, I got some stuff moved around. Let me just kind of show you what I did. Mainly, I wanted to clear the area down here, which I have now done, of the gravel that was originally there. Pulled the pavers that were in there. So I was sifting some of this, and then this pile got to be too big, so I had to move some of that. But also I realized that with the sifting, and it's just kind of a repeated sifting kind of thing, and there's dirt that gets caught up. You can kind of see it in the gravel there. So I wanted to run that back through this one here so I could drop the dirt down into that bin and then pick that stuff up and put it in here, which is what that's looking like now. Then I went back to sifting the smaller gravel from the larger gravel, and the end result was a lot of larger gravel. And now I literally am overflowing, so I had to dig out a spot down here just to put the overflow. But I am now finally at a point where I'm not worried about dropping dirt down here, which means I can go back to excavating up there and then finally figure out how I'm going to handle this. I think I'm actually going to put a couple of blocks back there so they'll be set back. Instead of being at this level here, they'll be set back further, and that'll help kind of retain the hill because it's getting kind of high right there. And then I've got that pipe going across, like I was saying. I need to excavate out and figure out if it's pitching down or not, and then figure out if I need a 2-inch, a 4-inch, or a full 6-inch lift, because these blocks are 6 inches high, if I remember correctly. Or are they 6 by 8? Actually, they may be 8 inches tall. So anyway, I need to figure out what blocks I need, and in order to do that I need to figure out where that pipe is going to be, because I want the pipe to be close to the surface, so if something goes wrong with the pipe, if it starts leaking, I can see it, it'll be more obvious, I can deal with it, rather than having to tear apart the wall to get to the pipe. So that's the game plan. I got to start digging now, and I also got to figure out that one pipe that's sticking out, how that is that really pinned into the dirt, or is that pinned into the hill, or what? So that's where I am. Sorry, long explanation after, but let me just get going and get something done. How's this for a bit of a different perspective? I finally managed to finish excavating. Let me try and stand up and get further back without falling off the wall. and I think I got some questions answered. So that half block sitting down there by the tape measure behind the pavers represents roughly the top layer of the wall. And you can see the pipe running over. Now it does pitch down, so what I'm about to propose here should work if I pitch up a little bit. Now that said, what I'm thinking is right where that red brick is under the paver, I'm going to put a half a block. The point is, I'm going to go back that way, and then just behind the pavers, like I've got this half block sitting right now, I'm going to run across. So that'll create a little sort of alcove area thing, but it keeps the wall at the right height where it meets against this wall, which then steps up. So then I can run across and still end up at about the right height. That said, the pipe is running right to left there. That's the thing I've been worried about, the height of that and being able to bury it. Well, it turns out if I've got one capstone intended for these slump stone walls. It's the same size as the brick, except in its actual thickness. Point being, I need to raise the wall by about that much. And then I put a paver on top of it to see if the paver would cover the pipe. And it does indeed cover the pipe. And not put pressure on the pipe. I'll pack in around it, and so it might be slightly out of level, but it'll look about right, and it'll protect the pipe, which is what I wanted. But it'll also allow me to access the pipe should it ever leak. It wouldn't be that hard to pull all the pavers off the top and go to a repair. So that's kind of the thinking there. Yeah. So I need to figure out my materials list and what I need to pick up, but what I've also done is I've managed to pull all of the gravel out of here. I've got a little bit of excavation left that I need to sift, but the gravel is out, so I can pull the bricks out so I can expand, and then I can put the newly sorted, sifted gravel in here and expand this pad to where it was supposed to be, and put the pavers in that are supposed to be there. So I can finally get that done. That does look a little bit nicer. Okay, I have reset the bricks where I wanted them. This time I actually pulled out the stepping stones and the other pieces, the caps, and actually laid them out on the wall to make sure they were going to fit the way I wanted them to fit. Left a little bit of room on this end. I also cleared under the pipes, which is just going to make it look that much better than when I did it before. And this is more or less level. And then I threw in some of the sifted soil just as a top layer. Now I'm going to put down the fabric and start filling it in. You know that thing I keep saying about having to change my plans? Well, I'd put down a nice even layer of soil, and I started putting in the pavers, only to realize it wasn't nearly high enough. What I was aiming for was to have it be level like that, and there just wasn't enough in there. And I started filling it in with the gravel, and I realized it wasn't nearly enough gravel to do it. So I've started emptying out one of the big tubs of sifted soil, and it's, you know, I kept kind of wondering, where in the world is all of this soil coming from? Why do I have so much more soil in soil management than I do on the hill? And I mean, I knew I'd carved out an area there, and I knew I'd taken out some here, but I think it was far more here than I thought it was. So I'm basically refilling it with soil, laying them on without the landscape fabric, and once I get all of these set in the soil, I will then fill in around it with the gravel. And that way, less chance of weeds popping up. The pipe will still be accessible. I mean, you can see kind of how I've done this. So that's where we are. I'm going to keep going. Plan executed. Finally got all the pavers in place. I've got the gravel in. Once it gets wet, some of the grayness, actually the dark grayness should go away, because I think there's still dirt on it. I didn't actually wash the gravel, but now I've got a pad where I can actually put the bins back, but I still need to deal with that. So next step tomorrow, I'm going to quit for today, but next step tomorrow is going to be to make up a list of the blocks I need and get that put together and clean it all up, and then we start attacking the behind the wall. Oh, and also raising all of all of these pavers, because I need that extra couple of inches there. So, but that's where we are. That's it for today. Good morning. As the crows fly over. They'll chime in a second, I'm sure. Yeah, yesterday was good. We got that done. Sprinklers went off, and I managed to go in some weird places, so I'm going to have to look at that by the end of the day. But I'm kind of thinking what to do today. What I really want to do is deal with all of this down below. But I can see, or I mean, after thinking, I can tell I really kind of need to deal with the pad on this end, which means I'll have to move this entire operation over, but that's not a big thing. Because I want to get the pad done here first. Then I can measure between this pad and the pad on the other end to figure out the actual spacing of the pavers that are going to go in here. So let me clean some stuff out of the way and we'll get that going. Minutes later, that pile is cleared and we've got some area to work with. The next thing I'm going to need to do, well, actually I should show you. The next thing to do is going to be to excavate some of that out, but I wanted to show you that that turned into a decent recharge of that particular bin. So I mean, I'm still overflowing here, but yeah. So the next thing is, if I'm going to put a pad and do it like I did yesterday, the key is, and there's still some gravel there, but that doesn't matter, because ultimately what I'm going to do is excavate out the appropriate amount. I'll get the bricks in there and then surround it with the, I'm wondering if this is actually called pea gravel. I'm going to look that up and put the answer here, but here we go. That's about another hour and 20 minutes gone by. Let's take a look at what I've done. I got the bricks in, obviously. It was a matter of excavating a lot of this out, and I started by excavating deeper than I really needed to, which then allowed me to just kind of grab stuff from, you know, on the right, and then I could grab stuff from the left and shift it over, and then a lot of sifting and gravel in the sifters, and a fair amount of actually starting to build up quite a bit on the gravel here. So I'm doing good with the, well, I'm going to call it pea gravel for now. I'm going to check if that's actually correct, but then more of the larger gravel, I got to figure out what to do with the large gravel. Good chunk of soil in here. It was nearing empty, or well, at least more than halfway down when I started. I haven't done anything with this one over here. in the last day or so, but eventually I'll get to that. So I think I've got enough soil in here now to fill back in. So I have a decent soil that I can pack well and get the pavers on there. And then once the pavers are down, I'll surround it all with gravel. So, and something interesting when I was excavating out is how they made the turn here. They ended up using 2 elbows. Oh, I get it. I see why. Do you see why? Because I saw this on the other end. They have these 3-way elbows where you get the elbow in sort of the line that's running all the way through, and then one sticking up so you can put the riser. And I think because they used that and because it's an elbow, they had to stick another elbow on it, another 2 elbows really, to be able to go back that way. But what's kind of interesting is maybe these aren't perfect 90s. Because if you look, you can kind of see the pipe is now getting closer and closer to the wall. But then over here, it's getting further and further from the wall. Not sure if that makes sense or not. Yeah, I think that's actually less than the 90s or less than 90. But I suspect the reason the risers are the distance apart that they are is because they're using these 3-way. In that case, it's going to be a T up at that one over by the cultivator. Just beyond the sifter. Let me tip up so you can see the entire riser there. But yeah, just kind of interesting, the archaeology of what they did when they built this place and when they put this. I mean, this is the original irrigation system as far as I know. So, and I'll be tapping into it and hoping and praying that it doesn't start to leak too soon. But that's where we are. So now, time to backfill and get the pavers in and then fill in with stone. Be back in a minute. Mission accomplished. Now, the question now, I mean, it is a little dark and it's going to change as it gets wet. But, oh, and that, speaking of getting wet, so there's a riser in here, and that's what I was saying on the other one, was I forgot to put the line in. So this is just a 1/4 inch tubing. It may be a little longer than I need, but I wanted to bury it in with that. And then it pops back out here because the plan is I'm going to put a micro sprinkler here, a 1/4 pattern going that direction towards that. So that'll take care of a 1/4 going that way, and then I got another riser here that'll probably get a 1/2. Another riser which is capped off here, which will get a 1/2, but I may actually move it over a little bit because there's one more over here. So actually, I might be fine with that. I need to figure all this out, but I might be fine with that. I might be able to take this one and move it over to the right a little bit and then do the 1/4 going that way. So now the next thing I got to figure out is I just measured, and between the far end of this brick here and basically the insides to that brick is about 160 inches, and what I'm considering now, so I put 10-12 inch pavers and use that brick, which is 4 inches wide. 12 inch plus 4 inches, 16 inches, so that would give me 160, although actually it just occurred to me I need one more 4 inches on that. So I need to do a little calculating and figure out what's going to work the best. 10 pavers, 11 pavers, 12 pavers, do I just not put gaps between them? I thought visually the gaps between the pavers would actually look kind of nice. I don't know that I want to necessarily fill this in with pavers all the way across. But ultimately, let me set something up and I'll show you kind of what I'm thinking about. I think I have a plan. After a bit of calculating and test fitting and various variables, it looks like there's going to be 11 of these stepping stones pavers working their way across between these bricks and the bricks on the other end. I moved some stuff out of the way just so I could get 4 of these. I have 4 different colors. Well, I mean, that and that are very similar, but this is more sort of purple, and yeah, anyway. After a bit of calculating, 160 inches that I need to fill, and I figured 11 of them will kind of fit if I put about a 2-inch space between them. So if you do the math, 12-inch paver plus a 2-inch gap and an extra 2-inch. So at 160 divided by 14 goes 11 times. That's 154, leaving you at 6 extra inches. Now remember that you get a gap between each, but then you also need to have a gap on either end. So there would be 10 gaps between. That's 20 inches. 154. Oh, heck. I mean, I worked it out, and I'm pretty sure that I got it right. I'm going to double check my math one more time, but essentially they have to be pushed away from the wall because you can see the pipe running through here, and it's not that close to the pavers, but when we get to that end, the pipe is further away from the wall, so I have to accommodate for that. I figured about 4 inches covers that, so to be 4 inches from the wall at the front and about 10.5 in the back. The pavers will be level with the wall, like I've done with that, and everything will be filled in with soil, which will take away a lot of the extra soil that I've got. It'll use up a lot of it. So that's the thinking. Then I'm going to double check my math, and then I'm just going to get going. I've hit a point at which I have had to make a little bit of a decision. Run around here. My soil bin, the last of them, the other 2 are absolutely full. Well, actually, there might be a little left in there, but anyway, I'm pretty much full. I got to figure out what to do with all of these larger rocks, and I've got plenty of the gravel. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down some landscape fabric in here. Actually, I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put some of the larger rocks in the bottom, kind of level it up a bit, because it's dug down a little bit further on this side than it is over there, mainly because I found a root down there, and I was just kind of following the root, digging it out, but I need to fill this back in at least most of the way. The landscape fabric probably will go beyond this point, and then what I can do is kind of fill it in and use a landscape fabric as sort of a barrier to keep the new digging from affecting the old digging. So I think I'm going to put in some larger rocks down here. That'll get rid of some of them. Then I'm going to fill it in with the gravel on top of that as a good drainage layer, and then put the landscape fabric. So it'll probably be a good 6 inches of soil, give or take, maybe even a little bit more. I could even take measurements and try and make that more predictable. But the other thing I'm worried about is if I don't get back to this somehow in the next couple of days, I'm almost starting to undermine other work. So I don't want to lose all of the effort that I've put in just because I dug a little too far. So I'm going to attack this. I'm going to put down some gravel and landscape fabric, and then we'll come back. Well, refilling certainly went a lot faster than digging it all out. And I made a dent. I'll show you the dirt pile is, I'd call it about half. Took some off of this, which was overflowing, and a good chunk out of there, and some out of that. So now I've got some room to do some more digging and continue on. And you can see the landscape fabric sticking up right here. That. So that's the separation between new and old, and that should allow me to dig in without completely destroying what I just refilled. And then I put one of the stones down in roughly its final position just to kind of see what it would look like. It's actually, the plan is to actually sink that in so that it is like the soil is level with the wall here. This will be level with the wall. So just recessed in a little bit. The soil is not packed down, so I fully expect that over time and watering cycles and what have you, it's going to start to drop a little bit, so I don't mind it being very much level with the wall because it will recede. But whew, what a day. I mean, I got that done, so I can kind of get that perspective. Unfortunately, the sun's kind of playing games with me right now, but hopefully you can see what that looks like. That's it for today. I hope to get something done tomorrow, but I got to do the lawn out front, and there's other stuff that's got to get done. I can't spend all my time on this. So maybe Saturday I'll get back to it. If not, maybe Sunday. Unfortunately, now the forecast is that Sunday and Monday are going to be the hottest days of the next week, so I might choose to just take an extended break and come back at it on Monday or Tuesday, or who knows. Anyway, wrapping it up for today. See you later. Good morning, gardening friends. It's Sunday. It's a little on the warm side, and I haven't gotten back to this since you just saw me. But I want to get to actually kind of cleaning up the area here because I need to go get materials and I need to have a place to put them. And I want to basically turn this into kind of a production line thing so I can get this entire area down below the wall taken care of, get planting set up, because as it was correctly pointed out to me, if I spend all my time building this wall and dealing with all the changes and everything, I'll never put any seeds in the ground. So that's what this is gardening. I want to get some seeds in the ground. So I have kind of a game plan, and that's what I'm going to go execute. So here we go. Alright, that's good enough. Got a bunch of the stuff out, moved it over to the far end behind all the pool and AC equipment, just to get it out of the way. Moved some of the blocks down into what I use for a staging area, which is kind of between the condenser, that round mesh thing at the end, between that and the actual wall. Just to get them out of the way, and staged the pavers that are going to go into the area here below the wall. So, you know, like I've got that stack there and then two more stacks beyond that, and they're actually set up so I just grab the top one and that's the next one in. So they're all in order, ready to go. Once I get the soil dug out and deal with all of that, so it's pretty well staged. I need to go get the blocks to raise the wall by another couple of inches. So when I do that, I may have to move all the pots and stuff around, but that's, you know, it's not that big a deal. I can get those in fairly easily. I just got to actually go get them and then unload them and put them somewhere so we're not tripping over them. And then I still got to build that little alcove back there. That's got to be dealt with. But I've now set it up so I can kind of do the part down below, get that built, and probably just quickly add the 2 inches to the wall, get that done, and then I can plant seeds. And once the seeds are planted, I can go back and deal with the little alcove area. So game plan, let's see if we can stick to the game plan. But I just needed to kind of organize so I could just kind of, when I get a chance to get out here, just zip through it as much as can be zipped through. So that's the idea. That's probably enough for this video already. I do apologize that at the beginning of the video I had to basically just edit a lot of stuff out because there's a lot of thinking. This really is my chance to think my way through and just sort of think out loud. But you don't necessarily need to hear all the thinking, especially if I do it over and over. So my apologies for that. I promise I'm going to try and make this better. That said, I think that's enough for this video. The next video will pick up with me actually digging and dealing with the bottom of the wall there after I've gone and picked up some stuff. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, take care of the ones you love, and may your thumb be green.